All right. This is NX2 coming at you, pre-recorded as always. Today I have our leading graphic designer, McKaylah DeKay, or otherwise known as The Mac. Is that nickname a reference to the song Return of the Mac at all, or no?
I honestly don't know where the nickname came from. It just kind of happened. Nicole
Oh.
likes to call me our Mac Daddy, but I like to think of myself as Mac from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh man. Okay, I thought it was from the song. I had like a
I
whole
mean,
bunch of like facts about the song Return of the Mac by Mark Morrison. Like I'm getting the feeling that that doesn't even register.
it could be really anything. It could be whatever you want it to be.
Whatever I want it to be. Okay. It's like your secret identity. If you were a superhero, it'd be called the Mac.
Could be.
Yeah.
Or maybe
Your
that's my
pers-
secret identity.
Maybe. Oh. Oh wait. Would your secret identity be Michaela?
Maybe I have multiple.
Oh. This has gone down the rabbit hole. So like your position is like pretty different from almost everyone else in the company. Like at the moment, almost everyone has a hand in like writing something, whether it be content, forms, contracts, or any kind of like organization. But you do all our like best graphics. How often do we come to you with some ridiculous ask, or is it like more common that we ask for something that's easier than we think?
This is a hard one. I gotta think about this.
Oh really? Trying to remember like what was the last atrocious
Yeah.
thing we asked for you to do.
I think a lot of things are generally easy once you kind of think about them, and after studying them for 4 years at Wilkes, it just kind of everything kind of comes to me a little bit more naturally than it might come to like say you or Logan or
Oh
Erica
yeah.
when you guys are like super focused on like the content side of things. But for me, it's more of the creation side, and it's way easier. I would say it's just way easier for me to do it only because I've studied it for so long.
I can only imagine that it's like must be frustrating to listen to us try and describe what it is we're looking for because you have no line of reference for any of the terms that you probably learned or use. And you're probably just listening to us describe like, hey, we need this for like a thumbnail. You're like, all right, I'm gonna ignore that because that doesn't make any sense.
Usually I can. You guys are actually really good at telling me what you want, and I think
Oh,
it's
thank God.
just. Yeah, no, you guys are all really good at describing what you want. Sometimes Nicole will send like a haywire email, but then I'm just like rereading it for the 20th time, and I'm just like, oh, that's what she wants.
Oh, that's funny. There's always gotta be at least one person like that.
Yeah.
Is there like a key part to like designing a perfect feature image or social post that you think most people don't realize or that we don't really see?
Graphic design is like really closely equated to art, and everybody says art is subjective. So there's nothing that you can do. It's going to be different in everyone's opinion. Maybe I make a graphic that I think's like super killer, but then someone will look at it and they're just like, oh, this is awful. So it's really up to the person who sees it, but there's no real like tip or anything that I could say that would get you to that level. But I can say that it's really important to have like really good hierarchy when designing so people know what to read and get the message across.
Okay, I wonder if that like would help at all with. I remember one time. I remember you being upset because someone wanted to change the style of something. I think it was a social graphic from what they usually do, and you had were telling on about how you had to keep a consistent like a visual style with a brand. Like consistency is important.
Yeah, because if you're gonna like, okay, say like Pepsi, you follow their brand, you know what Pepsi looks like.
Mm-hmm.
But say they like, actually no, I'll give you a better example. Snapple
Ooh.
actually just rebranded,
Oh.
and I hate it. Snapple's a really really fun brand, and they kind of lose all that funness and all that quirkiness in their rebrand, and so like they're losing all of that quirkiness as they move forward in the brand.
Oh.
So I think it's important to kind of keep who you are or keep your company's morals like aligned in the graphics to kind of just show a little bit who you are and just make it a little bit more interesting, because
Is
like
the
you don't want to lose who you are like midway through all of your like branding materials.
well, what is it that you think they changed that say another company would want to avoid?
Snapple or just in
Yeah,
general?
just specifically with Snapple because we're already on this example.
So what they lost is that quirkiness, and I would say as a company, you would want to avoid losing what you're known for.
But like, how do you think they did that? How do you think they lost the quirkiness? Is there something they took away from their designs, or
Yeah,
don't tell me they got
so
rid of the Snapple facts?
don't. If they lose a Snapple fact, I will riot, and I will never drink a Snapple ever again. Shout out Snapple Apple. But they when they were redesigning it, they took away like okay, let me rewind. The edges in the new logo are all really clean. Everything's really sleek and tight and put together. When like the original logo was like a little more like loose and fun. If you look at it, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to like visualize it if it's not in front of you, but as soon as it was in front of you, you'd be like, oh.
Okay, I think I understand, because there are like a lot of logos that I've seen that have taken that kind of direct change. Like, as a comic book nerd, I love DC. DC went from having a very stylized, almost cursive DC comics, and they just changed their logo to a very flat, standard D then C, which is, I guess, like easy to recognize, but it kind of takes away a lot of, it seems like, the character almost, which probably is what's happening with Snapple. I don't drink Snapple, not that I have anything against Snapple, but
you should try Snapple Apple. It's like the only one that I drink because I don't really like tea.
I mean, tea's a bit overrated in my opinion.
It is.
Yeah. I'm glad that's something we agree about. And like, as someone who doesn't know much about anything about graphic design, it seems like there's like a lot you do that other people don't notice who aren't like designers, whether that be like the position or the color or the lighting of an image, or just seeing how, I guess, certain aspects kind of disappear from logos. Like, I don't think I noticed it even in like a brand I've known since childhood until you point out like, oh yeah, I guess they do kind of simplify that.
Mm-hmm.
Does that seem like, I think you notice a lot where if you send in an image that there's something that us or the client doesn't notice, that you put all this work in, and I was like, oh, well, what was the point?
See, I know when I'm doing logos, I like to, it's a goal of mine to always try and like hide something in the logo. Like relevant to their brand, of course, and I think it's really exciting and fun to be like, oh, and then there's this, and they're just like, oh, like that's amazing. Like just recently I did a logo for Champion Settlements, and I went with like the olive leaf wreath because that's like the symbol of champions, and I was just playing with it, and I was just like, man, I wish I could get this to like look like something. And I was just like, oh my god. I turned it on its side, and it was a C for champion, and I was just like, I'm a genius, and I'm the best. And they actually chose that logo, so it was really exciting. It's always exciting to put like a little Easter egg when you're branding, and that's why I love branding. That's one of my favorite parts of being a graphic designer, is getting to build a brand from the bottom up.
Okay, that's like really interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out now, because when you said that, like, that sounds right, but I don't think I've looked at the Gladiator. You said it was Gladiator, right?
Oh no, it's Champion Settlements.
Oh, Champions. I'm sorry. I don't think I looked at Champion Settlements. I definitely haven't looked at Champion Settlements. I confused it with Gladiator. But yeah. Then I guess just they're Gladiator and Champions. They're like a bit out of the way of what our usual bread and butter is, which is usually like law marketing, like from law firms. Is there any kind of industry, though, that you would like to see us take on, or that you want to really leave your mark on? Like, even if it's a company, at the top of your head, or like an industry, one or the other.
I have always wanted to enter like the entertainment industry. Like, I love movies, I love music, so I think it would be really cool to kind of get our foot in the door in like the entertainment industry, even though that's not something we like commonly come across. I don't think we've ever actually done it.
They're usually on the industry. They're mainly like on the West Coast, but then again, Nicole's goal is the West Coast, so maybe.
Never know.
You never know. It could always eventually happen. Well, that would be really cool. I would be excited to see if you could convince Warner Brothers to redo the DC logo again. No,
Listen,
it's just.
I'm at my wit's end with DC.
That's good.
I'm a Marvel fan. DC's just lost my. I think after like Suicide Squad, I was done with DC because they like destroyed it, and I'm excited for the new one though. I think that's gonna be really good.
Okay, we'll end it on a high note then. Thank you for sharing, as you wound me in my DC fanhood right at the end.
I've heard that like the DC comics are way better than the Marvel comics.
All right, okay.
The Marvel movies blow the DC movies out of the water.
Okay, well, I just got something at least. Got something. All right. Thank you for sharing. This is only very interesting because I don't know anything about graphic design. I'm just like I'm the content guy who writes stuff, so it was really cool to learn new things like this. It'd be really funny if months or years from now we're working on this in an industry and we can reference this as like, oh hey, we're working on this now. That would be cool. But also, I'd say thank you to all of our listeners. That is all the time we have for today, and thank you everyone who's listening in, and goodbye. So you just like wave goodbye. You know that some people are listening, so they're probably not going to see us wave.